Imagine this. You're sitting in the middle of a national park, radio gear set up, the smell of fresh pine in the air, and suddenly, a voice crackles through your speaker from halfway across the world. I know plenty of hams who love that feeling. But me? I've always been more of a bigger is better kind of operator. You know, the kind of guy who prefers a full-size tower to a dinky little wire in a tree. But Parks on the Air, or POTA, has become a phenomenon, and even I have to admit, it's pretty impressive. So how did it all start? And why are so many operators dragging their rigs into the wild just to make a few contacts? Stick around, because I'm about to dive into the history of one of amateur radio's most exciting programs. POTA wasn't always the global movement it is today. Back in 2016, the American Radio Relay League launched National Parks on the ARRL NPOTA to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the U.S. National Park Service. It was supposed to be a one-year event, encouraging hams to operate from national parks and make as many contacts as possible. At first I thought, okay, great. Another excuse for QRP guys to haul their tiny rigs into the woods. But let me tell you, hams took to NPOTA like a kid takes to a new HT on Christmas morning. Thousands of operators jumped on board, making nearly 1 million contacts by the end of the year. The event was such a hit that when 2016 wrapped up, operators were practically begging for it to continue. Seeing the enthusiasm, a group of dedicated volunteers decided to keep the ball rolling. In 2017, they launched Parks on the Air, or POTA. Unlike NPOTA, which focused only on national parks, POTA expanded to include state parks, wildlife reserves, historical sites, and even some local parks. Basically, if it had trees and wasn't your backyard, you could probably activate it. At first, I was skeptical. The idea of operating out of a backpack with a battery smaller than my power supply seemed a little underwhelming. But I kept hearing about it. Friends were getting hooked. Some were running QRP, sure. But plenty of folks were bringing out 100-watt rigs. It wasn't just about minimalism. It was about the challenge and the adventure. Of course, not everyone is a fan. There are plenty of traditional DXers and contesters who roll their eyes at POTA. Some see it as a distraction from real radio work, like chasing rare DX stations or winning serious contests. Others grumble that POTA pileups clog up their favorite bands with frantic exchanges of 5-9 and thanks for the contact. And then there are the die-hard home station operators who think hauling a radio into the woods is an unnecessary hassle. Fast forward a few years, and POTA wasn't just a niche activity anymore. It had exploded. By 2021, more than 8,000 operators had signed up, logging over 2 million contacts. And it wasn't just a U.S. thing. Hams in Canada, Europe, and other parts of the world were joining in. What started as a simple idea, taking radios into parks, had become one of the most popular aspects of amateur radio.
CQ Parks on the Air, CQ Parks on the Air, Kilo 4 November, Kilo Uniform, calling CQ from Park Kilo 3826, Mullins Wildlife Management Area in Kentucky, and standing by.
Kilo Oscar 4, Golf Sierra Mike. November 0 Victor Tango.
One thing I realized is that POTA isn't just for QRP guys. Plenty of operators bring serious gear. Some haul out generators. Others use mobile setups with beefy amplifiers and big antennas strapped to their vehicles. It's not just about roughing it, it's about seeing what you can do in a new environment. Beyond the fun of making contacts, POTA actually serves a larger purpose. For one, it helps with emergency preparedness. If you can set up a station in a remote area with minimal infrastructure, You'll be in good shape if disaster ever strikes. Plenty of hams in the emergency communications world see POTA as a great way to practice real-world deployment skills. And then there's the outdoor factor. I'll admit I probably spend more time in my shack than I should. Too many of us do. POTA gives operators a reason to step outside, breathe some fresh air, and operate from places they might never have visited otherwise. Even I have to respect that. Then there's the community. Whether you're an activator out in the field or a hunter logging contacts from your home station, there's a camaraderie in POTA that's hard to find elsewhere. Hams support each other, swap tips, and sometimes even team up for multi-operator activations. So what's next for POTA? If the past few years are any indication, it's only going to keep growing. More parks are being added. More operators are getting involved. More contacts are being made every single day. It's an exciting time to be part of the hobby. I'll admit it, I still prefer my QRO setups. Give me 1500 watts and a Yagi any day. But I can't deny that POTA is doing something special for the amateur radio world. It's getting people excited. It's bringing in new hams. And it's proving that you don't need a giant tower to make meaningful contacts. You just need a radio, an antenna, and a sense of adventure. So, are you ready to take your radio into the wild? If you've been looking for a way to mix adventure with amateur radio, POTA might just be the perfect fit. And hey, whether you're running QRP out of a backpack or bringing a full 100-watt setup with a proper amplifier, there's room for everyone. Oh, and by the way, whatever you do, don't subscribe, like, or share this video. So, if you value your free time and don't want to become a full-fledged radio geek, definitely don't subscribe. But you know, if you accidentally click that button, I won't be mad. Whether you are into POTA, FT8, CW, contesting, or just hanging out on 80 meters with your buddies, try a new mode, make a contact, and keep that spark of adventure.